All right, welcome to 1-1. Remember, you're going to want to take notes, follow along. You're going to upload your notes to Google Classroom after you watch the video. So there are a few terms that we're going to go over. These are technically considered undefined terms because we only use them to describe things. They're not really anything like definition-wise that we use to talk about other than when we describe what they are. So those things that we are going to be talking about are points. And a point is a location with no shape or size. So it's a location with no shape or size and shape. Then the next part, so for an example, your point is just a dot. It could be bigger or smaller. It usually has a label on it. So this would be considered point A. The next one we have is a line, and this is made up of 2 points. Oops. Erase that random dot that I just made. Okay, so a line is made up of 2 points, typically 2 points, made up of at least 2 points, has no thickness or width. Only one line can go through 2 points, so that's just a note to make that only one line can go through 2 points. So for an example, I could have a line and I have point A and B, and then my line, which isn't very straight, goes through both of those points. So this would be considered line AB, and when I am describing that, when I write line AB, I'm going to use the notation AB, and I'm going to literally draw a line with 2 arrows on either side. Note that a line has arrows. So a line has arrows on either side. That'll become very important because we also have things like line segments. We have what's called a ray. We'll get into those things later. We're just doing some of the really basic ones right now. This section is going to be a lot of vocabulary. And by a lot of vocabulary, I mean we're just mostly doing vocabulary today. And we'll be working with it, and we'll look at what these things mean throughout the week. So we've got a point, we've got a line. The next thing that we have is what's called a plane. And a plane is a flat surface made up of points that extends indefinitely. And I am spelling that word so wrong. Let me start over with that word. Infinitely. Let me use an F instead of a D. In all directions. So note there is only one plane through any 3 points. Oops, So there's only one plane through any 3 points. So you can only have 3 points in your plane. So an example of this, so I could have some kind of, I'm just going to use a rectangle. It could be any shape there you really want it to be. I'm going to have points B, D, and C, and this is going to be considered plane K. So you could label this in multiple different ways. I could say plane K, I could say plane B, D, C, or C, D, B, or any combination of those 3 letters would give you the right, would describe this plane. So that is what a plane is. If you think a flat piece of paper, that would be kind of like a plane. Okay, so some more vocabulary terms. We got a lot today. So we've got collinear. And collinear are points that lie on the same line. Then we have coplanar. And these, and this should say through any 3 points. So on the plane, only one plane goes through any 3, only one plane through any 3 points not on the same line. Okay, so coplanar then are points that lie in the same plane. So then you could also say non-collinear, and those would be points that don't lie on the same line, or non-coplanar, which are points that do not lie in the same plane. So non just means the opposite if you were to add that to those particular sayings. So I'm going to do, or try to do an example before we move on, just so that you have some ideas of what this is talking about. So if I give you a plane, so I'm going to draw a plane here. Again, can be pretty much any shape. It's just a flat surface. And I'm going to draw a picture. So label it P. I'm going to put a dot there. I'm going to put there. Draw a little dotted line here. Label that R. C, put Z there, Y, make that X, make this W, make this B, and then I'm going to put N down there. That's just representing that this is line N, and this would be line R. Okay, so I want to know, my first question is a line that contains point W. So I'm going to look and I'm going to find point W, and point W is right here, and I want a line that contains that particular point, and I forgot the T here. So I remember a line can go through any 2 points. So I'm going to look at that line that W is on and pick another point. So I could say that WX would be one. I could also say that WV, I'm going to use V because I like that one. I'm going to use WV could be a line that this is on. I already said WX was another one. I could also choose something that doesn't even have that W in it. I could say something like V, which is here, and Y would give me that because W also lies on that particular plane, or that particular line. So V, Y, and I could even write that as YV. It would both give me the same answer. So then I want you to tell me, and I'm going to add another point here. I'm going to call that point A. So this one is a U try. And I want you to tell me a line that contains point T. So go ahead and try that one. Once you're done trying, you should have gotten something like TX or AT. You could put those in either order. You could write it XT or TA. You could have also said AX. Those would be all things that would work. So the next thing that I want to talk about, so the next question 3, I want to know a plane containing point X. So if I'm looking at a plane that contains point X, I'm going to again find where that point X is. And my point X is right here in the middle. So I could call this X, Y, Z. Remember, these are a plane. Let's go back to our definition. Has 3 points not on the same line. So I need 3 points not on the same line to make it a plane. Oops, sorry about that. So 3 points not on the same line to make it a plane. So X, Y, Z, because I have those 3 points here that are not on the same line. So X, Y, Z would be one. I could use X, A, and Y. I could use X, W, and Z. Any of those would have been acceptable. So I'm going to give you a chance to also try. So let's do one more. Plane containing, let's use point V. So go ahead, give that a try. So if we're looking for something that has a plane with point V, something like VAZ would work. And there are a lot more. I'm only going to write one down because you could have VAZ, you could have VXZ, you could have VYZ, you could have VWZ, you could have VYA, you could have VAZ. There are a lot of different options here. Remember, you're just looking for 3 points that do not lie on the same line. You could have 2 on the same line, but that third point can't be on the same line. Alrighty, so the next things that we're going to talk about, I'm going to start with some more vocabulary because there's a lot, is intersection. So an intersection is when 2 or more figures is the set of points intersection of, there we go, intersection of 2 or more geometric figures, I'm just going to put figures there, is the set of points that they have in common. So in short, this is the set of points 2 figures have in common. To say that simply, the way the book has it is kind of confusing. So for example, I could have just 2 lines in the set of points that they have in common. So I would have a point here, and that would be the point that they have in common. I could also have 2 planes, and this is going to be a little interesting because I am an awful drawer. So we're going to try. So then they would end up having this line right here, and that line would be the points they have in common. The book has a really nice picture, but I am not a great artist, so it looks kind of crappy when I draw. So that would be the intersections. The next terms, let's see here. So these, remember, were all kind of like undefined terms, like, and because it's just what we use to describe things. So that's what is considered an undefined term. So this next few are going to be what's considered a defined term. So that one would be like space. And when we're talking about space, it's defined as a boundless, and it's typically three-dimensional, right, 3D, set of all points. And these can contain lines and planes. So that is what space is talking about. And we're going to interpret some drawings in class and things like that and really use these vocabulary words. But by giving you the vocabulary words now and you having a chance to write them down and think about them and all of that, will allow us in class to be able to actually go over these things a lot more. So make sure you get this all down, make sure that you write them and upload your picture, and you're good to go.